thank you for doing this. How do you pull this out? Frightening. This is not how decent people behave. This is not how people who want to be president behave.
You know, there's not many people watching anyway. So,
is there anything you regret?
This is sort of the last gasp.
I know you believe that Mr. Trump will be a better president of the United States.
That's what we're talking about.
Total disaster. What are you going to do about it?
Let's skip over that.
But he's going to win?
They're overwhelmingly popular with the American people. Well, look, I never thought that would happen. Never, 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 never. If it fails here, Katie bar the door.
We'll see.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
What's up, guys? Your boy, Benny. If you know anybody in public relations, you'll know that the lifeblood of all PR operations is rehabilitation, because famous people do dumb things, brands do really dumb things. We've seen a lot of that lately. And people who are in the public eye need to rehabilitate either their brand or their persona in order to get, like, Robert Downey Jr., who was booked for cocaine and narcotics, to become Iron Man, right? That's like a great example of rehabilitation. Okay, to go from somebody with a mugshot to somebody's, a hero. Okay, and this is a perfect PR example of how you rehabilitate a brand. A good example of how not to rehabilitate a brand is what's happening with Joe Biden right now, because they're trying to prove to you that Joe Biden doesn't have pudding for a brain, that Joe Biden isn't completely and totally handicapped, because the entire country saw how handicapped Joe Biden is after the debate last Thursday. So a week ago, the entire nation says this guy has a weird cocktail of dementia, Parkinson's, and just smooth brain brokenness, and he shouldn't be the resident of the White House. And so all of the PR operations have gone out and said, no, trust me, Joe Biden's doing great. Now, here, ladies and gentlemen, is Joe Biden from moments ago, okay, at time of recording. This was just less than an hour ago. Joe Biden in Philadelphia talking about his runs for Senate, saying that it was Philadelphia that got him over the line every time he was running for Senate in a different state.
Even when I was running for Senate, and each time I ran, quite frankly, not a joke, Philadelphia in particular got me across the line. No, I'm not joking.
Dude, you ran for Senate in Delaware. Philadelphia is in Pennsylvania. Those aren't the same state. You are truly and completely broken. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there is embarrassing moments like that have been happening all week. There's something particularly egregious about the way that Joe Biden's handlers have begun their rehabilitation of Joe Biden, or continued their rehabilitation of Joe Biden. And we'll get to that in just a second. This is really embarrassing, though. Joe Biden saying, let me be as clear as I can. I'm the president of the United States. I'm staying in the race. Even The Sopranos, the official account of The Sopranos, trolled Joe Biden by saying, if you gotta keep saying you're the boss, you're not the boss. I can't believe this is real. Joe Biden, in a call with Democrat governors, said he's totally healthy. It's just my brain. He admitted that he needs to get more sleep and that he's not going to do events after 8 o'clock. Oh, yeah. People at Joe Biden's own rallies are trolling him, saying, pass the torch, Joe. This was in Wisconsin just a few days ago. Joe Biden saying he has the ability to beat Donald Trump in 2020. Okay, pal, time travel a little bit. And then, of course, Joe Biden on the utterly nightmarish and truly hard to watch Stephanopoulos interview on ABC Live on Friday evening, said he can't remember if he's seen the debate or not.
Did you ever watch the debate afterwards?
I don't think I did, no.
Oh, okay. He doesn't think so. Got it. Well, hundreds of millions of Americans did watch it, and we don't want a man with pudding cup for brain to be the resident of the United States of America. Now, Joe Biden, one of the more interesting and or hilarious gaffes of the last couple days, said that he was the first black woman president.
Well, I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman, served with black president. I'm proud of the role of the first black woman in the Supreme Court. There's just so much that we can do because together there's nothing. Look, this is the United States of America.
Okay, so now you're going to be shocked to learn that Joe Biden, even in that interview, had a massive handicap. Let's just call it what it is. Joe Biden's own team, to prepare for this interview, sent the questions ahead of time to the interviewers. Biden campaign provided a list of approved questions for both interviews. Oh my goodness. So even with the questions ahead of time, Joe Biden says he's the first black woman president. President Biden campaign provided lists of approved questions for two radio hosts who did the first interviews with him after his faltering debate performance. Biden's Thursday appearances on black radio shows in the critical states of Wisconsin and Pennsylvania were his first chances to show that he could answer questions and discuss on the record after the debate. Radio show host on Saturday said that Biden's aides reached out to him directly for an interview that aired and gave him a list of questions in advance. There was no negotiation. Look at that. Have a listen.
Let me ask you here about your interviews, and something I listened to both of them, and there's something that's similar here. You each you asked 4 questions, and maybe that's what you were allowed to ask by the campaign or the White House. But they were essentially the same questions, both interviews, about accomplishments, progress in your respective state, what's at stake in the election, what he has to say about his debate performance, and what he would say to voters who think their vote doesn't matter or might sit this election out. Were those questions given to you by the White House, or did you have, or the campaign, or did you have to submit questions ahead of this interview?
The questions were sent to me for approval. I approved of them.
Okay, so the White House sent the questions to you ahead of the interview?
Yes.
Okay.
I got several questions, 8 of them, and the 4 that were chosen were the ones that I approved.
Okay. And the reason I ask is not a criticism of either of you. It's just that if the White House is trying now to prove the vim, vigor, acuity of the president, I don't know how they do that by sending questions first before the interview so that the president knows what's coming. Let me play here a bit of your interview. This is, and you've probably seen it's gotten a lot of attention, this is when he was asked about his accomplishments as president. Let's play it.
I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman, served with a black president.
CNN going complete savage mode as of late. So yeah, the White House is now scripting Joe Biden's interviews. Kayleigh McEnany saying White House press shop must answer this immediately. Suggesting topics is one thing, but scripting questions is another. It's all been the Truman Show, folks. The New York Times getting in on this. Biden aides provide questions in advance for his radio interviews. Holy smokes, the Biden camp has been pointing to local radio interviews that he did after the debate as evidence he's fine. It turns out that those were completely staged. This is such a bad look for Biden. Radio show hosts say they were sent interview questions earlier this week. Biden, the president is so sharp, he can't even answer questions he knows are coming. Biden was interviewed by radio stations in Philadelphia this week to prove out he was fine. Turns out all 4 questions were written ahead of time by Joe Biden's White House. Ooh, baby. And Joe Biden still called himself the first black woman. They gave me the exact questions to ask. There was no back and forth. There was no negotiations. Ooh, man. Oh, boy. Buddy, I got a news story for you. By the way, if you've been following this, then you know exactly what's going on here. You can see here in this photo from 2023, but also in many other circumstances, that Joe Biden gets questions in advance. Question number 1 from the Los Angeles Times. Here's the reporter. And we could pull this clip. We pulled this clip. This is exactly what was asked. The question was about semiconductor manufacturing. So they knew what question she was going to ask, and they knew it ahead of time, and they printed it out on a note card for Joe Biden. We've known this. Now, breaking news, it turns out that reporter at the local radio station has been fired. Biden radio interview scandal escalates as host fired for allowing White House to send scripted questions. Ooh, baby. Let's go ahead and look at this. Radio station with Biden's first post-debate interviews fires the host. The interviewer featured predetermined questions provided by the White House, which violates our practice of remaining independent media outlet accountable to our listeners. The Philadelphia-based station added that the practice of delegitimizing black voices continues today. This is a radio station WURD Radio, saying that is now effectively saying it will seem like they're a mouthpiece for the Biden administration. Oh boy, oh man, this is getting brutal. So Joe Biden is ending more black jobs, right? So Joe Biden destroying more black careers. This is a classic Joe Biden move. The Biden campaign will no longer feed questions to the media. Oh, good. Wow. What an incredible moment for journalism here in America. This is why they're in panic, obviously. This is the polling, Trump versus Biden. This is what the Real Clear Politics polling average looks like. Donald Trump crushing in all of the swing states. Obviously, this is a very, very bad thing for Joe Biden. And now multiple Democrats, including Adam Schiff, are calling for Joe Biden to leave the race, including, but not limited to, one of the, I guess you could really call him one of the smartest Democrats, strategists to walk the earth, David Axelrod, saying Joe Biden is going to lose in a landslide.
It's just there are certain immutable facts of life, and those were painfully obvious on that debate stage. And the president just doesn't seem to he hasn't come to grips with it. He's not winning this race. He's more likely, if you just look at the data and talk to people around the country, political people around the country, it's more likely that he'll lose by a landslide than win narrowly.
More likely that he'll lose by a landslide than win narrowly. This from the guy who was the architect of Barack Obama's 2 electoral victories that included Joe Biden. So, woof, baby. Things are looking very, very bad. Things are like, it can't get more embarrassing than working in the Biden White House right now. And we think that's delicious. Oh, baby. We are drinking up the salt left and right. Join us. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel, H4 Banner. See you.